Do you ever feel like you're carrying a secret? Not a secret you're intentionally hiding, but one you can't quite articulate. A quiet, insistent knowing deep in your chest that suggests the world, as everyone else seems to experience it, isn't quite real. You look around at the frantic pace, the endless pursuit of the bigger car, the perfect validation, the accepted narrative, and a part of you feels like an anthropologist watching a different species. You mimic the movements, you speak the language, but you're always just slightly off tempo. If you've ever felt that subtle, chronic loneliness of the observer, if you've ever found yourself asking, why do I see things others don't? This is for you, because the very thing that makes you feel isolated is, in fact, the key to a radical, sustainable joy. The world is a magnificent, complicated theater, and most people are both the actors and the audience, fully immersed in the play. They live within a shared, comfortable agreement about what matters: status, time, money, and power. But for you, something is different. You've noticed a small rip in the fabric of the stage set. You've seen the seams where the scenery meets the wall. This is the burden of your clarity. It makes simple things difficult. When everyone is passionately arguing about the rules of a game, you're quietly wondering, why are we playing this game at all? When they speak of a solid reality, you feel the gentle shimmer of illusion around their words. This difference creates a constant, low-level friction. You try to explain your perspective, your deep discomfort with the unquestioned path, and you are met with blank stares, polite dismissal, or worse, genuine confusion. Just relax, they say. Just be happy. But how can you relax when you feel you're standing on ground everyone else believes is solid, but you know is actually a suspended bridge? This is why you feel misunderstood. You are not meant to be understood by the audience who is still clapping along to the script. You are meant to be a mirror for the entire production. You carry the truth that the world is built, not on objective facts, but on collective fictions. And ignoring this one truth, this simple, profound distinction, is why real, durable happiness remains just out of reach. So what is this one truth? It is this: the entire structure of human society is held together by stories we agree to believe. We call them fictions, but they are essential. They are the scaffolding. We're not talking about outright lies, but about shared, accepted inventions, things that have no material existence outside of our agreement. What is a nation, a border, a dollar, a successful career, or a failure? They are powerful, real forces in the world, but they are not the same as a rock, a tree, or the feeling of the wind. They are human constructs, agreed upon rules for the great game of life. Most people live and die without ever truly noticing the rules are arbitrary. They never stop to question the value of the golden tokens, the boundaries of the playing field, or the legitimacy of the referees. But the introspective soul, the one who feels different, that person is watching the game from the stands. You see the sheer, beautiful, and terrifying absurdity of it all. You see that the most painful crises in life often stem from the collision between a human fiction like prestige or security and an objective truth like impermanence or nature. Your discomfort is not a flaw. It is a diagnostic tool. It's the sign that you are awakening from the collective dream. You are seeing the matrix of assumptions that others take for granted. This is why it's both a burden and a magnificent gift. The burden is the feeling of loneliness. The gift is the absolute freedom that comes from knowing you are not bound by the script. You are merely choosing to read along. Let's look closer at this gift, using 3 images. The torch. Think of the collective fiction as a vast, dark cathedral where everyone is holding hands, whispering the same story, and moving by touch. The person who feels different, you, is the one who lights a small torch. Suddenly you see the beautiful architecture, yes, but you also see the dust, the cracks in the stone, and the fact that you're not really in a cathedral, you're in a theater designed to look like one. The light is harsh. It isolates you. The others, moving by habit, might even resent your light because it disrupts their comfortable darkness. The most profound spiritual challenge is not to run from the light, but to learn to carry your torch gently. Don't use it to burn down the fictions. Use it to illuminate your own path within them. The ripples. The second image is the ripple. When you act from a place of genuine objective truth, from love, from integrity, from silence, it's like dropping a pebble into a still pond. The people operating purely on fiction operate like solid blocks. They clash, they resist, they conform. But your clear action creates a ripple. It's quiet, it's expansive, and it bypasses the surface tension of their rules. It doesn't argue, it moves. The true power of the clear-sighted individual is not in protest, but in non-reactive movement. You don't need to change their game. You only need to ensure your own movement is governed by the deeper flow of reality, not their surface rules. The dreamer, finally, consider the dream. When we are dreaming, we are absolutely convinced of its reality. The fear, the joy, the urgency, it's all 100% real until we wake up. Living in the collective fiction is a kind of waking dream. And the one truth you've grasped is the feeling of being on the verge of waking up. The key to happiness is not to shake everyone else awake, which is impossible and often cruel. The key is to remember you are dreaming while you are still moving through the landscape of the dream. This simple act of remembrance is the difference between genuine, unshakable joy and the fleeting satisfaction of temporary success within the fiction. You are the dancer who is free because you know the steps are arbitrary, but you choose to dance them beautifully anyway. Here we arrive at the central paradox, the one that causes the most pain. The thing that isolates you is the very thing that sets you free. When you first discover the shared fictions, the immediate, natural reaction is one of isolation. I am alone in this knowledge. It feels dangerous, like you've been marked. But if you hold on long enough, if you breathe through the initial discomfort, the feeling shifts from isolation to liberation. You are no longer bound by their fear of failure, because you see that failure is simply a dramatic label in a made-up game. You are no longer crippled by the need for approval, because you see that approval is simply a token issued by the system, and you no longer need their currency. You move from the terrible freedom of the outcast to the magnificent freedom of the sovereign self. The resolution to this paradox is learning to live wisely within the game. You don't quit the game. You still need to pay rent, connect with people, and contribute. But you change your internal relationship to it. You become a double agent, fully engaged in the action, but internally tethered to the truth. You play the role of the devoted employee, the loving partner, the active citizen, but your sense of self is derived from a deeper, unshakable source, the objective truth of your own being, which exists before and beyond any accepted human story. This is the path of radical happiness. It is not the absence of trouble, it is the absence of confusion about the trouble. How do you walk this path? How do you keep the torch lit without letting it consume you? It requires only 3 small, consistent practices: patience, humility, and playfulness. First, practice patience. Patience with others, because they are deeply comfortable in their dream, and they did not ask to be woken up. Your clarity is not a weapon to be wielded against their confusion. It is a shelter for yourself. Breathe, nod, and remember the ripple. You don't need to win the argument. You need to win your peace. Second, cultivate humility. The biggest trap of the clear-sighted is the ego of superiority. I see, and they don't. But remember, the fictions we live within are necessary. They allow for cooperation, complexity, and collective creation. Your clarity is a responsibility, not a badge of honor. Be humble enough to learn from those who are fully immersed. They often have a warmth, an immediate, powerful joy you can forget in the cold light of truth. And finally, embrace playfulness. If life is a game built on fictions, then approach it with the spirit of play. When you're stuck in traffic, when you're dealing with an absurd bureaucratic form, when someone is taking an invented status far too seriously, smile. Play the part beautifully. Don't resist the game. Engage with it lightly, with a gentle, knowing wink. This allows you to participate without being consumed. The one truth you can no longer ignore is that happiness is not found in the collective fiction, but in the distance you create from it. It is not about achieving what the world calls success. It is about knowing the true source of your own value is independent of any external metric. The feeling of being different, of being the one watching from the window is not a curse. It is the compass. It is the highest invitation you will ever receive. An invitation to live a life governed by reality, not by the frantic, shifting wind of agreement. Your purpose is not to conform. Your purpose is to live a life so deeply rooted in this quiet truth that your very existence becomes a silent, powerful permission for others to also feel the seams of the stage set. So the next time you feel that subtle, chronic loneliness of the observer, the next time you ask yourself, why do I see things others don't? Remember this. You see the seams because you are the one who is meant to stitch the world back together with true understanding. Go gently, go wisely, and carry your torch.